Maybe one of the best players in the generation without a Ballon d'Or. And what Neymar did in the last few moments of that match against PSG. That doesn't have a single major title for Brazil. 5 players that were superior to Neymar in the 14-15 season. I'm sure many of you are shocked. You are confused. How are we having a trial of one Neymar Jr.? Why, in fact, are we having a trial of one Neymar Jr.? Well, this came as a surprise to the footballing world. Half Hope's Football Art, as well as Half Hope, have launched an agenda and a scheme to put forth all of the great footballing stars, the beloved football stars, up on trial in these courts to in fact find out whether they are in fact frauds. And we have a statement from Half of Football that I would want to read. No player should be exempt from criticism. We must have the uncomfortable conversations. So what does this mean? Is Neymar the first of many that will come through these courts? Do we see a Cristiano Ronaldo, a Lionel Messi, a Ronaldo R9, a Maradona, a Pele all come through these courts and be put forth? The only decision that matters will be through these courts here. So the prosecution, led by Half Hope and the Football Hut, will be putting forth the case as to why Neymar Jr. is a fraud. The defense will also put forth the case as to why Neymar Jr. is not a fraud and he is in fact one of the most talented and most misunderstood and underappreciated players of the generation. There is a lot riding on this case because the decision could greatly determine how we view these players for years to come. Order in the courts, please. Order in the courts. Look, my friend, please sit down. Order in the court. Everybody be seated, please. So we are here for this is case number 2348. The people, the football community against one Neymar Jr. This is a very emotional case, an extremely emotional case. Again, as a judge, it is not right for me to give my opinion on the case. I have to be neutral, me being a judge. But I don't care. I think that this is awful that we are here. And one Neymar Jr. here with his family and his lovely sister, who I think is a wonderful person. I don't understand why we're here in this court. Because I feel that for a guy who I've enjoyed watching for a long time, because I consider myself a Barca fan and a Brazil fan, because of course Nigeria are going through some hard, difficult situation with the Super Eagles. So my thing on Neymar Jr., I think Neymar is a fantastic player. And I think it's terrible that we're here in this court. And we're doing this nonsense here. I think this is nonsense. So we be hearing from the prosecution, who I'm sorry, I'm saying half hope. You should be embarrassed that you're bringing this case here. You know I'm a Barca fan and a Brazil fan. You should be ashamed of yourself that you're bringing this case here. He's useless, man. This guy just moved down with your useless YouTube channel. How many subscribers you have there? How many views? You've been doing it for how long? Look how many views. Useless channel. You're a sad man. Don't tell anything about it. So, are you even married? Where's your wife? Is just a single and lonely, useless. You said, please. Order in the court. Order in the court, please. Thank you. I'm not finished. So, and I hear the kind of rubbish the man said about Messi. I dare him to bring Messi into this court. This is useless thing that this guy said about Messi and Cristiano. I dare this man. So you listen to your prosecution, a very useless man, a useless fellow called Half Hope, and you listen to the defense, a man who speaks amazing Queen's English. very well educated, went to Cambridge, Eton, and listened to his beautiful speech. Because I respect a colony. I'm from Nigeria, and we're from a colony, and I respect England. I respect Britain. Churchill is a great man. Without further ado, let us now hear the words of this prosecution and the defense. Thank you. Wow. Okay. So that's what we're doing. Okay. So again, George, I think you should be impartial, and I actually think that you should actually maintain your impartiality. But that's fine. That's fine. It's okay. So guys, here, look, I love Neymar. I love Neymar. And I feel that Neymar as a footballer is incredible. I feel that he is the closest thing that we saw to Messi. And his talent is amazing. I am not going to deny his incredible talent. But why are we here? We are here because of fraud. Fraud. What is fraud? Fraud is, I promise this, I say I'm this, but in fact I'm not that. It is deceit. It is falsities. It's lying. And the notion of Neymar being one of the best players of his generation is simply false. The way that he is talked about is simply false. It's simply not true. And I am here to present my case, objectively speaking, that this is of course false. And I feel that as members of the jury, if you are fully impartial and you're fully objective here, and you ignore a judge who has completely gone against his impartiality, you will agree with me. So I want to go to Exhibit A. Neymar has no major title for Brazil. I'm sorry. The defense will try and come up with excuses, use context, say this, say that, say that, say this. Ignore that. The fact is, Neymar, a Brazilian superstar, doesn't have a single major title for Brazil. Do not give me anything about, the team he played for, or the players he's with, or who he's around. No. Let us deal with the fact. He doesn't have a major title for Brazil. So to be called one of the best players of your generation, and you don't have a major title for your nation, Messi does, Cristiano does. But you want to put Neymar with Cristiano and Messi when both players have at least one title for their nation, and Neymar does not? It doesn't make any sense. The Olympics does not count. The Confederations Cup doesn't count. 0 Copa Americas and 0 World Cups. But I'm going to anticipate what the defense is going to say to you. But the team is so bad. Oh my gosh. He was born in the wrong era. Oh my gosh. There's nothing he could do. Oh my gosh. Exhibit B. Brazil won the Copa America without Neymar. So this so-called bad team that he can't function with managed to win a Copa America without him. If that is not a complete indictment and totally refutes the notion that he can't win at least a Copa America with Brazil, I don't know what else can. Because Exhibit B is clearly evidence that shows you that Neymar, based off of your talents and those around you, you should have been able to at least lead them to at least one Copa America. Of course, I want to walk up, but can I get one Copa America? Exhibit C. How can he be one of the best players in the generation without a Ballon d'Or? I don't know how that works. Please, jury, let me just walk with me here. One of the best players, one of the most talented players, but not one Ballon d'Or. Please don't give me the Messi Cristiano excuse, because that's weak. Benzema managed to win during their era. Modric managed to win during their era. And we will all agree that Neymar Jr. is better than Benzema. He's better than Modric. So if Modric and Benzema could win a Ballon d'Or in the Messi Cristiano era, that's argument that Messi and Cristiano were too consistent completely falls apart based off of the success of Modric and Benzema. So again, please tell me, how was Neymar not able to win a Ballon d'Or? And how can he be one of the truly best players of a generation if you never won the Ballon d'Or? At no point were you ever the undisputed best player for a single year. I'm sorry, guys. Everything is too compelling. It's far too compelling here. I want to present Exhibit D. PSG. He made the move. He bet on himself. He left Barcelona, which may have been a bad move, but fine, he bet on himself. And what happened when he bet on himself? When he bet on himself, he failed at PSG. You made that move. You made that move. So by you making that move, you have to simply accept the very fact that those failures are your own. I don't want to hear about injuries. I don't want to hear about Liga to being so fast. No. Every man must live by and accept the decisions they made. Whatever choices you make in life, as a man, you must live by those choices. His PSG move was a failure. It was a failure because the whole point of moving to PSG was about winning the UCL. It was not about winning Liga. It was not about stacking up on Uber Eats or I'm loving it. It was about winning the UCL. And he failed to do so. And I think, I'm not even going to call this an exhibit. I'm just going to present this to me. Saudi Arabia. If ever there was any true evidence of Neymar being a fraud, is by his move to Saudi Arabia. Because that, in fact, is him saying that I've retired and I'm done. You see, you can almost defend a Cristiano moving to Saudi Arabia because he's already won the UCLs. He's already won the Ballon d'Or. He's already won the Euros. So he's already done things that Neymar has not done. So you could almost say he's almost earns the right to make that Saudi move. Neymar, you're not earned that right. I'm waiting for a Ballon d'Or. I'm waiting for a UCL without the hard work of Messi and Cannibal Suarez. And I'm waiting for a major title for Brazil. So you've not actually earned the right for you to go to Brazil. For you to go to Saudi Arabia. And by him going to Saudi Arabia, not achieving the things that you should achieve as a top player, he's a fraud. And when we say Neymar is a fraud, doesn't mean he's a bad player. Doesn't mean that we ignore the things that he has done. Doesn't mean that we can't appreciate the amazing talent he was, because I started my statement by saying he is an amazing talent. He's an incredible talent. And it frustrates me and frustrates so many passionate football fans that he didn't fully achieve what he should have achieved. Because he should have been a multi-Ballon d'Or winner. He should have won a Copa America or a World Cup with Brazil. He should have won several UCLs. He should have led PSG to a first UCL title. Because if Neymar led PSG to a UCL title, he won a Copa America with Brazil, we're having a very different discussion. If he had one or two Ballon d'Ors, we're having a very different discussion. And then we can say, Neymar was definitely one of the best players of his generation. But Wikipedia is real. Members of the jury, I beg you to be impartial. When you go away and you deliberate, I implore you to go onto Wikipedia and look at the data. Numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So when you look at that data on Wikipedia, which is real, tell me the Ballon d'Ors you see there. Tell me the World Cups you see there. Tell me the Copa Americas that you see there. Tell me the UCLs you see without him being at Barcelona. I'm sorry. I know it's painful. But as members of the jury, you have to be impartial here. Because this is a very important case. I was hired here from the Football Hot Fraternity. These trials are led by the Football Hot Fraternity to fully go through all the legends, all of your favorite players, and be objective and ask the uncomfortable questions. Because on this channel, we're here to ask the uncomfortable questions. So these trials are very important because we're here to be objective and say the uncomfortable things and have the uncomfortable conversations. Because If you look at the evidence that we've seen here today, if you look at all the exhibits, you must convict. And that man sitting there with that lovely sister of his must be found guilty of fraud. And he must be labeled a footballing fraud. I'd like to also note that the defense, that is not his hair. Now, I don't know how you feel as a jury, but that is not his real hair. At least this is my real head. This is my real head. This hair is real. Whatever is left is real. That's not his real hair. Okay? That is not his real hair. So please, take that into mind that is a wig. It is not his real hair. Well, I actually never believed that personal jabs would actually be leveled at me from my esteemed colleague over there, but here we are. So, members of the jury, I agree with many of you. We should not be here. I feel that it is wrong. It is unethical, and I feel that there is a personal hatred that is almost inexplicable with regards to Neymar Jr., because I do believe he is the most misunderstood and the most vilified and the most hated football player we've seen in recent times. And I feel that it would be against everything we hold so dear as football fans if we convict a fantastic player, an absolutely phenomenal player. So, I will present the defense with regards to Neymar Jr. I want to present Exhibit A, which is Santos. Now, many of you would say, oh, the Copa Libertadores, what is that? What relevance is that? A young Neymar who won the Puskas Award for Santos, incredible goal. That win in 2011 is significant. Why is it significant? The last time they won the Copa Libertadores was not in the 90s. It wasn't in the 80s. It wasn't in the 70s. It was in 1963. 1963 was the last time they won it before Neymar led them in 2011. So, from a very early age, you could see the individual talent of this man and how, as an individual, he was able to inspire a team. You cannot be a fraud if there is clear evidence that, as an individual, you are able to levitate and inspire a team as an individual, because that is greatness. There are very few players who, as individuals, you can put them on any team and they will find a way to be effective. Because at the end of the day, this is a team sport. And my esteemed colleague here fails to see that this is a team sport. And football is a very complicated game. So we have to respect what an individual is able to do in football as opposed to, let's say, tennis or basketball. Exhibit B, 2014. I need to remind the members of the jury that in 2014, that was Neymar's debut World Cup, his first World Cup, first. And he was doing incredible things. Remember, in the first game, they were down, and he actually brought Brazil back. This was not a good Brazil team. This was a Brazil team with Fred and Joe. And this was a Brazil team who we saw in the end, without Neymar, lost 7-1. Keep in mind, I need to repeat this because it's very important. With Neymar, he was single-handedly dragging them to a semi-final. You took Neymar out and they lost 7-1. Because my colleague here wants to talk about facts and Wikipedia and numbers don't lie. Well, let's play that game called facts. You take Neymar out of that Brazil team, they lose 7-1. And they're now in sporting infamy. If you want to play the game of facts, that is a fact. Because we all know if Neymar was in that team, who knows what could have happened. Many people agree Germany would have won. Neymar, from what we were seeing at that World Cup, was a special player, and he would have fought back and he would have done something to counteract the brilliance of Germany. Exhibit C. Arguably Neymar's best of the season. Now, we have to look at people's peaks. Because as much as we look at consistency, we have to take people at their best. And I want the jury to be very honest with themselves. In this era, throughout this time, can you name me 4 players or 5 players that were superior to Neymar in the 14-15 season? In this season, he had 10 goals in the Champions League, leading them, of course, to a UCL victory, scoring in the UCL final. In the league, 22 goals, 7 assists in 29 appearances. You see, they don't call it MS. They don't call it M or N. It's MSN. And for several Barca fans, an argument can be made that Neymar was one of the best players, so arguably the best player of that 3. So it is wrong for my esteemed colleague to claim that Neymar was riding off the hard work of Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez. Luis Suarez was fantastic. Messi was amazing. But I don't think my esteemed colleague actually watched the footage, because Neymar was as good, if not better, than Messi and Suarez during that treble season. And many people agree. And also, on his channel, because I watched it. I am, unlike esteemed judge here, I am actually a fan of the Football Hut. We saw his channel where they listed the greatest treble teams. Voted number 1 was our 14-15 team. So if Neymar is a fraud, how can you be a fraud and be a pivotal part of the greatest treble winning team? It simply doesn't make any sense. Exhibit D. Miracle at Camp Nou. I cannot think of a more clutch sequence of events than what Neymar did in the last few moments of that match against PSG, where they needed 3 goals, a penalty, a free kick, and one of the finest passes you will ever see over to Sergio Roberto. A fraud doesn't do that. It is impossible for a fraud to achieve such greatness at such a pivotal time in a Champions League against a very good PSG team. So, again, I agree with my colleague here. You must be objective. You must listen to the arguments, everything. But I have to add one thing. As you deliberate and as you go and you figure out whether Neymar is a fraud or not, I ask one thing. Remove your personal view. Because I feel it will be wrong if your hatred, for Neymar clouds your judgment here, because this is a very important trial. Because if Neymar is found guilty and is labeled a footballing fraud, all of you will have to bear responsibility of that. You will all have to bear responsibility of that. Because, again, as my colleague would say, look at the facts. Look at what Neymar has achieved. Look at what he's done. And last thing before I go, this is not an example, last before I go, Brazil. Of course, he's not won a major trophy for Brazil. He's not won a World Cup, he's not won a Copa America. And my colleague is right, I will use context because context is very key. People argue that Pele was probably not the best player on his team. And I can say it was Garrincha. Romario was amazing. Bebeto was just as good. We know how good Ronaldo was. People argue Rivaldo was perhaps better than Ronaldo in that 02 World Cup, as well as Ronaldinho. I ask you, members of the jury, Where is Neymar's Bebeto? Where is Neymar's Rivaldo? Neymar's Ronaldinho? Neymar's Garrincha? He has had to do this all by himself. So yes, they won a Copa America without him. I agree. But the issue is, once Neymar is on the team changes because they no longer play as a team. They play for him as a superstar. If you look at previous Brazil teams, you have one superstar and another extremely good player. So the issue isn't Neymar. You can't chastise him based on his amazing talent. So when Neymar is on that team and he is the solitary superstar without a wingman, the team relies solely on him and everything goes through him. In the 60s, it was Pele and Garrincha. Even so, Vava. In 94, it was Romario Bebeto. In 02, it was Ronaldinho. It was Rivaldo. Even if they didn't win, but during their reign as well, Kaká had Rubinho. So it is very difficult for Brazil to achieve anything if you have one man that you play for and everything has to go through him because he's the superstar player. You take out that superstar player, of course you play more as a team. But it is impossible to play more as a team when you have a superstar man. So the issue is the lack of talent still prevails. So you cannot hold that against him. So you are saying because he's not won a major trophy for Brazil, he's therefore a fraud? Because I ask you this, he wins a Copa America for Brazil, we would still be here. Because if he had won a Copa America for Brazil, what would we say? You have to win a World Cup. Ronaldo won a World Cup. Pele won a World Cup. Ronaldo won a World Cup. How could he not win a World Cup? Do we put Kaká in the same category as these other people? Because Kaká, it wasn't really a major component of that 02 World Cup. So the fact remains is, it's about winning a World Cup. And during Neymar's existence, Brazil have not won a World Cup. So it's not about the Copa America. It's about the World Cup. And with Neymar, they've not won the World Cup. Without Neymar, they're not winning the World Cup. So please go away and present your case.
Please, order in the courts, please. Order in the courts, please.
So you have heard from the very useless prosecution who for a very useless case. And you've of course heard the beautiful English of the defense. So now, you go away, you now listen to the nonsense argument from the prosecution, and you listen to the very compelling arguments from the defense, which I believe is right. So you listen to the prosecution, and the nonsense starts, idiot said with his failing channel, that has not grown in over 10 years, he's been doing the same thing, not grown over 10 years, very, very useless fellow, very useless YouTuber, I've unsubscribed, it's a very, very rubbish channel. And all he does is just be reactionary, just says nonsense about the goat's mess and everything, all those useless person. Oh man, oh yeah. Leave my court now.